You return to Azim having climbed the many floors of the Tower of Pain and defeated the Mad Mage at the top. Your weapons are damaged, you still bear the many wounds of the previous battle, and your comrade Voltrim the Barbarian lays dead in the cart covered by his cloak. Inside the cart next to Voltrim's body are many chests filled with coins and artifacts that you've recovered from the tower at the end of your campaign. You enter in through the city gates and you see the first glimpse of civilization that you've seen in over 6 weeks. What do you do? Greetings gamers, I'm Anto, and today we're going to be talking about downtime and what your players can do when they're not off adventuring. If you're new here, welcome. I make D&D and world building related content every week to help you be a better dungeon master and build better game worlds. If you enjoy this video, please hit the like button down below because it really helps, and if you want to see more content, hit the subscribe button as well. Now, downtime is an excellent way to break up a campaign and give your players a chance to rest between adventures. I've also found that every time I have a period of downtime in my game, my players tend to engage more with the world. Seeing how the world operates outside the context of an adventure is really important for helping the players feel like this is a truly realized world. So today I want to talk about some of my favourite downtime activities to deploy, and to start with we're going to start off with the simplest and the most obvious, and that is spending money. Now this is the most obvious thing that your players can do between adventures, spending all of that hard earned money, but the process of offloading loot and buying new items doesn't just have to happen. You can make an entire session of the players trying to get rid of the hoard they recovered from a dragon's lair and trying to buy new items with it. Let's say the players return back to the city. They've got a few hundred coins of various denominations, but they've also got some items, some artifacts, and maybe some gems as well. If you want to handwave this, turning it into coin, that is totally fine, but going through that process of offloading each of these individual items can give you a really interesting session. Using the example from the start, the players get back to the city and they take everything to the general store. Now the general store might be able to buy some of the loot that they've bought back, but it's unreasonable to expect a general store to be able to just buy up a load of magical weapons or artifacts or a huge heap of gems. I'll take these, but I haven't got the coin to take those gems off your ends. Not all the magic items or their art. Elstein, the local wizard, might be interested in the magic items. The bank will probably take the gems off your ends, and you should speak to Dalden about the rest. Seemed like they'd be perfect for his auction. So now, before where you would have had an off-screen interaction, you have your players actually interacting with an NPC, learning a little bit about the area in which they're in, and getting some direction on how to offload those different items. This also has the side effect that as the players become more powerful, they're going to realise they can't simply just walk into a store and dump out their loot bag in exchange for all that gold. They're going to have to start making some real connections, much like they would in the real world if they were returning with such vast hoards on a semi-frequent basis. And each of these new locations can prompt new discoveries, new plot hooks, new NPCs for the players to talk to and develop relationships with. For example, taking their magic items to Elstein means they now have contact with a wizard in the city and might have access to identify magic or higher level spellcasting than they currently have available. Maybe when the players go to the bank, they're told they can only exchange such precious gemstones for coin if they have an account with the bank, and maybe they get told you can only have an account with the bank if you are an official citizen of the city and own property, which means the players now have an extra side quest to buy or work out a deal to get some property in the city, or they have to broker a deal with someone who is a citizen to change the gems on their behalf. And then there's the other valuable items. The players need to locate Dalden's auction house and have them listed up for auction, obviously paying Dalden a commission fee. But attending this auction might mean that they see some new items that they want, or it could mean that they realise that Dalden's quite a shady figure and that this auction is actually significantly more dangerous than they first thought. Like I said earlier, this isn't something that I would recommend having your players do every single time, because that in itself will get quite boring, but it's something that you can do when they have a new piece of equipment that's particularly powerful, or when you want to give them a break from adventuring to really help them view this world as a real place. The second big use of downtime is obviously healing. If you're playing other games or older editions than 5th edition, then healing is much more of a long-term process. You don't get your HP back nearly as easily, and you have to actually spend the time to heal all those wounds that you received in battle. I'm a really big fan of having to spend time to heal your wounds when you're not using magic. It makes the whole world feel more real and dangerous, but also adds a level of balance to stop your players just spamming healing all the time and removing a lot of threat from encounters. Recovering HP over time also means that your players usually tend to stay in one place for a little while, and that allows them to explore that place and get a better sense of what is around them. Number 3, moving on from healing, we have resurrection. If you're playing in a setting where resurrection is a possibility, then downtime is the perfect chance to go down that route and have someone resurrected. Personally, I'm a really big fan of having there be an additional cost to resurrection more than just gold or diamond dust. In my current campaign, for example, you must project your soul into the soul realm to be able to find the deceased's soul and guide it back to their body. In addition to this, you need some pretty specific ingredients to make this spell work, including the bile from a hydra. My explanation for this is that the bile from a hydra somehow aids in its regeneration ability, and that is essential for making sure that the body is able to heal itself once the soul is brought back to it. This gives the players something they can do during downtime if they have all the components, a journey into the soul realm to navigate whatever is lying in wait for them there, find their deceased comrade and guide them back to the mortal plane. But it also gives them an opportunity to go on a side quest. If they've got an NPC or a player character that's died and they want to resurrect them, but they don't have Hydra Bile, for example, then they need to go out, find a Hydra, defeat the Hydra, harvest its bile, and bring it back to whoever is performing the spell. This makes the resurrection really feel earned, and it imparts upon them this sense that dying is a big deal. Even though we can be brought back, it's not a guarantee, and we shouldn't just charge headlong into things without thinking them through, or dive off cliffs without thinking this might kill me. The fourth thing I like to do during downtime is crafting. Crafting is a classic use of downtime, building new weapons, armor, or items during that time in which you're enjoying life in the civilized areas. Having the party wizard craft items for the party, or having the party paladin spending time with a blacksmith improving their armor, is a great way to spend your downtime and have your players interact with NPCs in a settlement and get to know it a little bit better. The fifth thing that I like to do during downtime is learning. Like crafting, learning is a great way to spend your downtime because it gives the players a goal during that downtime. For example, I allow my players to learn a new language without having to put points in things like linguistics or spending skills or feats on anything and just spending the time. To do this, they have to find a teacher, someone that is competent enough in the language and has the ability to teach them.
I'm going to be a sheriff. You're going to be my deputy trainees.
And then depending on what they're learning, sometimes I require a check or a roll at the end to see whether what they've attempted to do has stuck, whether they've retained the information, whether they've been successful. But for less consequential things like learning a language, I'll probably just say once you've spent X amount of time, then you can speak the language. Number 6, finally, one of my favourite downtime activities, and that is gambling. My players have spent multiple full sessions just doing gambling in my campaign. There are a lot of different gambling games that your players can bet on and win money on. They could play Liar's Dice,
7 5
or poker or blackjack, or they could bet on ponies or horses or some magical creature. And other than winning money, the gambling brings other considerations. If your players are gambling in an area in which it's illegal, there's a certain level of danger inherent with participating in the gambling. Maybe the city watch will arrive, the local law enforcement, and conduct a raid on the gambling house you're in, and now your players have to flee the scene without being caught. Maybe they get arrested, maybe they become criminals in that town and have to leave the town. There's plenty of scope there to change up the status quo as a result of this gambling. Or maybe they'll meet criminals or other seedy underbelly characters that can give them access to new quests or new items. You'll probably notice a theme in my handling of Downtime. It's very rare that a player will say, I want to do X, and I'll just say, okay, you do X, or okay, make me a roll, and if you score high enough, you do X. I really like to have my players play out what they want to do during Downtime. If they want to do X, I will say to them, you need to go here, you need to speak to this person, you need to interact with the world in some way to get this done. Because doing that almost always results in them learning new information, or finding new people to make contacts with, or getting new quests. If you're new to Downtime, start small. In the next horde that your players come across, place a single unique item and then have the players follow the leads from that, go into new places, meeting new NPCs, and potentially getting a new quest from that as a result. Use this as a test to see whether your players enjoy doing Downtime like this. Some players just want to get back to the city, pour everything out on the counter, get their gold, and move straight on to the next adventure. But some players are really going to enjoy spending the time investigating these little side quests. So use this as a test to see what your players like, and if your players like it, well, incorporate some more Downtime activity in the future. Like I said, I wouldn't recommend doing this all of the time, especially where selling items are concerned, but I encourage you to always try and incorporate a little bit of downtime between major adventures, just to give the players a break and help them to feel like they're not just constantly grinding for months on end. That's all for this week, folks. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button. And if you're new here, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications. And I'd love to hear what kind of Downtime activities you deploy in your game down in the comments below. So please let me know. But until next time, happy gaming. If you're new here and like what you see, make sure to hit the subscribe button. I release new RPG related content every single week. And if you enjoy what I do here, consider supporting me on Patreon. You get access to behind the scenes video, exclusive content, and a whole bunch more. And if you want to keep watching, I've got a couple of videos over there that you might enjoy. And until next time, happy gaming.